I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Everything will be alright if you keep me next to you. You don't know about me, but I bet you want to. Everything will be alright if we keep on dancing like we're 22. I'll put the hat on Geraldo. The hat's actually on Geraldo. Anyways, I wanted to come on here because obviously, I'm doing a move. Obviously, I've cleared out another bookcase over here since I did the last video, so I've got that one kind of ready to go. But I wanted to talk about some things I've learnt from this experience, because obviously a lot of people move every day. A lot of people move houses. Not everyone has a massive physical media collection to take with them. But what have I learnt from this part of the move? Obviously, I have a lot more to go. I obviously still have, the VHS tapes, boxes and stuff to go. So there's still a lot to go. But the initial stages, I've learned a lot. First things first, your collection is always bigger than you think it is. Obviously, looking at it in the back of a video, this over here can be misleading, It can be very misleading when you look at something like this. You would think, oh yeah, that's probably a half-hour job. Nope, it's a 4-hour job. If you think it's half hour, it's probably 4 hours. And there's a lot of that when you're moving, there's a lot of things with timing. If you think it's going to be 30 minutes to an hour, it's probably going to be 4 times that. If you think it takes 20 minutes to put something into a bag, it might take an hour. You have to start thinking, okay, timing is way off compared to what I think it is, compared to what it is. And also the labor is another big thing I've learned through this. Obviously, if you're carrying a lot of bags, you might think, okay, I'm carrying these downstairs, so I have to go downstairs. But you might think, oh yeah, I can get them down in a heartbeat. You're carrying one, but you're doing that up and downstairs constantly. So the walking back and forth is an issue. When I was doing these, taking them to the next location, this is just the McDonald's bag because they're pretty sturdy. I was actually holding 3 at a time, so I was trying to keep them as low to the ground as possible and carrying 3 at a time so I could keep one bag in the middle, handles spread against both of hands, trying to keep it as steady as possible because I was trying to minimize the actual load of actually going up and down stairs constantly. But there's a lot of that I'm tending to learn now, there's a lot of that I'm tending to learn. And obviously you have to do a bit of a move to get that done. I've also learned that I had a lot of bloat in the collection. I've said this a lot of times throughout previous videos, but there's just so much bloat. There's a lot of stuff in here that I'm like, okay, why do I have them? I've got over here a box of, I think from my initial Blu-ray collection. This is from like a decade ago. But I used to have an old Blu-ray collection before I tore down the cases, threw them out, and then only kept the discs. That was one of the early mistakes. Now, obviously, people know I'm folding down now, but I'm retaining everything. But these are from the initial collection. And I have discs in here like ballers and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, they don't have the covers. Should I be housing these different? I've just got these in plastic cases right now. There's a lot of stuff here like that. There's a lot of stuff where I am like, okay, why do I have that? Okay, is that in the right place? What's the actual purpose? There's obviously stuff here like Top Gun from the initial collection as well, where I'm kind of like, okay, I have Top Gun on this, but I've also replaced it. Shouldn't I merge this in with the covered ones, Shouldn't I merge this in with something? And they're the kind of decisions I'm sort of learning through this whole process. I'm kind of learning that there's so much here that I don't actually need. There's also a lot that I'm kind of like, okay, that could be rehoused in with another thing. Why am I keeping it separate to that when I can merge them in and halve the space? It's all about space at the end of the day. I obviously found these as well. Like, obviously, I'm a big kind of, not critic of Star Wars, but like the altered 1997, post-1997 versions. Why do I have these versions that are altered, the special editions? I mean, it's a cool little box set. I mean, look at that. That's a very nice box. That's a very nice box when you put them together. Obviously, one is the widescreen, one is not the widescreen. But keeping them together, it makes a cool little Darth Vader thing. And that's the whole point. Like, I keep these for that little piece of artwork. I keep them for the artwork alone. But I don't watch them. Why do I have them? Why do I keep them in the collection? There's a lot of that I'm finding in here. Like, I obviously showed, or tried to show in a previous video, the Star Wars film reel. Obviously, this is containing a few scenes. I'll show you what's actually in there. You can read that if you want to freeze frame it and read it. I'm not going to keep it on screen for 10 minutes. You can freeze frame that. But there's a lot of that sort of stuff in my collection where I'm just kind of like, do I want to take it with me? Do I want to just sell it? Or do I take it to the next location, then try to sell it? Or do I just scrap some things? Obviously, I'm not going to scrap a Super 8 film reel of Star Wars. That's just stupid, silly thoughts. But there's so much here where I'm just kind of like, do I need to keep it? Why am I keeping it? What purpose does it serve? Now, people know from my gaming channel who watch the gaming channel, Toomey Gaming, that I've sold a lot of my Switch collection, and I'm kind of essentially done with Nintendo Switch. The reason behind that is that there was so many Switch games I had. I had like 37 Switch games, and I had an OLED Switch and all that. I probably turned the OLED Switch on once or twice in the time actually, no, I played Arceus, Pokemon Arceus, and I played Mario Odyssey. So I turned it on a bunch of times, but then after I got through those, I was kind of like, okay, I'm good now. I'm happy. So there's a lot of that where I'm just kind of like, I lose interest in the console, and I'm kind of like, why do I have it? Up here, I've got a lot of those consoles on top where I'm kind of looking at them. Let me just turn this around. I've got the Atari over there, which I'm never selling. That's the Atari Plus. That's like a special kind of one, although it's modern. I've got the PlayStation Mini. Now, obviously, I have a lot of original PlayStation disc games, and I also have the original PS1, PS2, PS3. Now, obviously, I'm a PlayStation collector, so I'm not going to sell anything PlayStation related. I've got a DS here from way back. I've got some Nintendo Minis, and then, up here, I've got a lot of stuff. But there's a lot of questions about, do I need to keep my Vita? Do I have to keep my PSP? Why am I still buying PSP games? I do like buying the PSP games. They're kind of like a nice little nostalgia kick, even though it's not my nostalgia. It's not like I grew up on the PSP. But I still kind of want to experience it. So I'm keeping those to experience the PSP properly now at this age and have that nostalgia kick of, hey, this is what the PSP was. The same with Vita. I have not modded the Vita. I'm not going to mod the Vita. It's going to be played on cartridges as it was meant to be played. Now, I know people mod them. I know people make homebrew and all that out of it. I get it. But I'm keeping it for my own personal mindset. But there's also, that could be considered bloat as well, because how often am I getting the Vita off the shelf? Should I sell the Vita and I can watch, YouTube clips of gameplay to experience that and be like, oh yeah, that would be cool. Like, that would be cool to actually experience that. I mean, I've got games for it. But there's so much bloat in this collection that is just like, without moving, I wouldn't know how much bloat I actually had. Also, the covers that push forward the collection are over in that corner, way at the back. They're the covers that push forward the collection behind the Billy bookcases because bit of advertising. Oh, no, I'm not advertising. I'm not advertising anything. I'm just saying like a bit of a heads up. With my Billy bookcases, not these ones, the Nedbys, the Billy bookcases, the big boy kind of things like this, and also the bigger ones, the 80cm ones. I always pushed forward the collection using DVD cases, old DVD cases. Gaffer tape them together 4 at a time because DVD cases are the perfect diameter. If you tape 4 together properly, it'll fit perfectly into a Billy bookcase because I think they're kind of 20 centimeters or something like that, 19 centimeters, or it all comes together at the end of the day in the Billy bookcase. But I didn't know that I had so many covers. I didn't know I had so many behind the collection. I've also moved the collection. I've already started putting that together. I'm not ready to show it. It's already kind of half in place, but at the new location. But also, there's so much of this that happens. There's so much things where I'm kind of like, okay, do I need this? What purpose is it serving? Do I want to take it to the next location? There is a lot of that happening now. There's a lot of that questioning happening. There's a lot of that mentality of, okay, I have let me just grab it here. I feel like that's going to unclip, so I'm going to clip that back in before it actually falls again, because we know in the previous video it fell. Where is it? It's down the bottom. Here I have a Game Boy Advance. Now, obviously, Game Boy Advance is cool, and I do want a Game Boy Advance. It's one of the consoles that you can actually put batteries in and just keep going non-stop. But also, like, why do I have this? I mean, I think you can play original Game Boy games, and I'm pretty sure this is one of the ones that can play Game Boy games. Let me just put it in the way it's supposed to go. Yeah, so, you can put Game Boy games in that and play it, so that's pretty cool. But also, why am I keeping the Advance when I have a Game Boy? When I have a Game Boy Color somewhere in amongst all the moving around stuff at the moment. There's a lot of that kind of happening, There's a lot of that thought process about, like, hey, I've got a Game Boy Advance, but do I actually get my money's worth out of it? Is it actually worth keeping? And there's a lot of that mentality happening now. Obviously, I've got a few games over here that I'm never selling, but I've got Age of Kings, Age of Kings was my childhood right there. That's my childhood. But although I never got this copy when I was a child, this is a copy that I found after the fact, years, decades after the fact. But I have Age of Empires 1 and 2. These are the originals. But I've got them. But then underneath that, I've got a lot of computer games here where I'm kind of like, you know, I've got South Park Rally. Obviously, I'm a fan of South Park. I got Star Wars Monopoly. I've got, this is a great game. I'm never selling this one. SimCity 4 is a freaking good game. I don't care what anyone says. And I've also got Diablo, because obviously you need to have Diablo, you know. You all have smartphones. Anyways, my mentality behind this, what the point was that I have a lot of bloat here. I have a lot of stuff where I'm kind of like, do I need it? What purpose is it serving? Why do I have it? Do I need to move it? Is it something that I do want to take with me, or is it something I want to sell? Now, obviously, that's something that I've been looking at, like my belt, my title belt that I recently got again, because I keep buying title belts and then selling them. But I have the title belt, and I'm kind of like, do I want to keep this title belt, or do I want to sell the title belt? And there's a mentality about, like, I'm having offers for it. People are saying, "Yeah, I'll buy it off you. Yeah, do you want what? How much do you want?" I'm like, do I want to sell it? Do I want to keep it? I don't know. It's kind of my belt now. You know, it's also the Roman Reigns belt. That's why I want to keep it. It's the one that, not the one he has right now, but the one he held when he was Universal slash World Heavyweight Champion, when they merged the titles together, undisputed. It's the black one, you know, the one that AJ Styles held, the one that Brock Lesnar, he won it off Brock Lesnar, that title belt. The one that Daniel Bryan held, I think. The one that, you know, you don't need me to explain. But either way, I'm looking at everything now, and it's one of the things I've really learned, that you analyze stuff as you're packing it. You analyze it as you're going. You analyze, why do I have it? Now, obviously, I love Titanic, so I'm keeping my Titanic special, like, very special edition one that is an Academy Awards one. I'm definitely keeping that. But there's so much stuff where I'm just kind of like, I could do without half of this. And also, you tend to, like, start making decisions. Like, obviously, I've merged some things into the bigger boxes now, so I'm kind of doing that now, so it's easier to move. You know, I'm making a lot of those decisions now, and we're not fully there yet. Obviously, there's a lot of the way to go. There's a lot of way to go here to actually get the full move completed. But I'm in the stretch now where I'm kind of like, okay, now that the Big Billy bookcases are out of the way, now things will go fast. You know, obviously the VHS tapes, I'm trying to sell all my VHS tapes, and that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to sell. All my 167 WWF VHS tapes. These are the ones I recorded off Fox 8 back in the days, so I'm definitely not selling them. I think I've got one of these. These are both off Main Event. I know one of these I wrote Jamie's copy on, because one I bought off eBay, and another one, that's not my handwriting, so that's one I bought off eBay from somebody. I don't know. Someone, obviously, I don't know if he put a name in it, but someone's VHS tape. And then my one is obviously says Jamie's copy in there. I don't know if you can see it. It's obviously, it says Jamie's, you know. And I've got also the Fox 8 kind of advertisement for WrestleMania 20. So I've kept that as well, because that was my copy that I watched on Main Event back in the day. And then I've also recorded Fox 8 for like probably 12 weeks afterwards. So I've got like a bunch of Raw episodes, a bunch of SmackDown episodes, going all the way up to basically, I think, Great American Bash. And then I also recorded SummerSlam and so on. You get the gist. You get the gist. But either way, you tend to realize how much space this takes up. I'm not taking the VHS tapes, or I'm going to try to sell as many VHS tapes as possible. I've got a WCW collection, which I might keep, but the WWF stuff needs to go. I've replaced a lot of that with Tag Classics anyways. So there's a lot of that mentality where it's like, why am I keeping it? Why am I keeping it? What purpose does it have to keep, let's see here, to keep SummerSlam 1992, great SummerSlam, by the way, really great SummerSlam. But it's also, I have it on Tagged Classics, and it's also in the box set up here in the SummerSlam box. You know, it's also in the SummerSlam box. And how, I'm really only keeping it for the themes, really. But, you know, mostly this is unaltered. That would be altered, that box set. But also, how often am I grabbing SummerSlam 1992 off the shelf to watch? How often am I doing it? Not as often as you'd think. So it's like, why am I keeping it? What purpose did it serve? Why do I need the VHS tape when realistically I'm only just going to turn it on to watch the matches? And also with Tag Classics, I can have the VHS transfer in original shape, because Tag Classics transfer from the VHS, so you have a lot of the same themes. It's a weird one. They found a loophole with that. So that's why you see scratch logos and stuff in there that they couldn't show during the ban or the lawsuit. But this is all coming together. This is all kind of coming together now. And this is what I've learned. Like, it's a big job. And when you think it's going to be a smaller job, when you think, oh yeah, I could have that done in half a day, no, times it by like 3. If you think it's one day, it's going to be a 3-day job. If you think it's going to be a 3-day job, it's probably a week job. You know, there's a lot of times where I'm kind of like, okay, I underestimated. This is more than I expected. And there's a lot of that mentality going on. And you have to be aware of it when you're moving. You have to be aware of the labor that you're putting into moving stuff. Because obviously, I had a lot of sore muscles. I talked about it in one of my last videos. I think it was I don't know, I'm not calling them episodes anymore, but, you know, I talked about it like 2 videos, 3 videos ago, how I had sore muscles moving the bookcases because I was carrying everything. And obviously, don't do your back out. You don't want to go down the wrong way and do your back out. But I was doing it the right way. But also, there's a lot of it where you're just kind of like, it's a big job and you underestimate it. You really underestimate it. But either way, guys, what did you think about this video? Subscribe, drop a comment, and go and follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I'll put end screens. Go and follow all the end screens. Watch them all. Watch everything. I'll put a couple of things to other channels everywhere, all at once. I don't know. I obviously did a video straight after, and you can watch that. There's a bit of everything in this channel. Go do whatever you need to do, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace. 22.